W7 Live from the worldwide headquarters in Economowoc, Wisconsin. Welcome to the 2020 Girls Volleyball Preview Show. Gary Wepperman, W7. Great to have all of you guys along tonight. And it's been a rough few months, but we're back. Sports is back. We've been doing golf now for a couple of weeks. If you've been watching, hopefully you've been watching that, and we really love it. Really love golf, and great athletes and great kids, and a lot of great things coming in golf. We've got a couple of more events yet to do this year, so looking forward to that. But tonight we're here to talk about the 2020 girls volleyball season, and how can we talk about the Wisconsin girls volleyball without bringing in the foremost expert in Wisconsin high school girls volleyball. It is Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin. Chris, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to W7.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk volleyball whenever we get a chance. That's a great thing, and I'm just glad to be able to talk fall season. I know not everybody's going to get that chance, but the fact that we can have that for the majority of the teams is great, and then we can do it again this spring.
So let's start with that. Let's talk about what impact COVID has had on girls volleyball. Obviously, this summer there were some things going on. You guys did some creative things to get the kids in the gyms and playing and things like that. And obviously, with this fall, we've got some teams that are playing, some that aren't. Do you want to kind of break it down for us and give us your read on this summer, and then also what we can expect this fall as far as the COVID impact for girls volleyball?
Yeah, well, I think after being in quarantine for 2-3 months, whatever it was, I think there was such a thirst to be able to get on the court no matter what that looked like. So we started out July, and there were some leagues going on. So we helped with the league at Milwaukee Sting, which they had a lot of the teams that we'll be talking about here. We also hosted, it was called the Prep Dig Sizzle, which we had teams from all across the state playing that at the new Champion Center in Appleton, which is a beautiful facility. And then we were able to host some later in August, right before the end of the month, so that way teams were able to play a little bit more. And that's when we had to enforce the mask mandate. So just talking to the different athletes, they just want to play. And if that means wearing a mask, so be it. I know for a lot of them, if they're moving to the spring season, it is disappointing, but at the same time, they know that they're going to have a season at some point. And I think for everybody, it's exciting, but it's also a little nerve-wracking. But I don't know. I'm feeling very optimistic about what we can do this fall, and what teams can do to make sure that they have a safe and full season. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see how it's all going to play out.
Well, and to that point, what is the impact as far as state tournament goes with fall and spring? I mean, I assume it's on as far as right now goes for the fall. What does that look like for the kids that play in the spring? Is it just a regular season? Is that it?
That's a great question. I really hope for those teams that have a spring season that they're able to have a state tournament. It might not look like the fall season, but you still have a lot of really good teams that are playing in the spring, and yes. I would love to be able to see them compete, to see who would be the spring champion. Kind of how Wisconsin would do the spring baseball and then summer baseball. Do the same with fall volleyball and spring volleyball. Maybe you just combine it into one class, because most of the teams that are competing are going to be Division I and Division II teams. I know there are some smaller teams that are there, but throw them in a big group and see who the overall champion is of the spring, and let's play it out.
And boy, wouldn't that be fun? We could have debates till the end of time about, well, if this team would have played in the fall, this team would have played in the spring. I mean, this team wouldn't have won, and that team wouldn't have won. I mean, we could go on forever with things like that.
Yeah, and I think at this point, any volleyball right now is really good volleyball.
Yeah.
And if people are upset about that, I just always say, you know what? Talk to somebody who plays softball, somebody who plays baseball, yes. Somebody who's playing the track, like. They never got that chance. And, for a lot of those kids who found out the night before that they couldn't play in the state tournament, I mean, my heart just breaks for them. And to not get that chance again this year would just be, for a team like a Pewaukee who was ready to take the court at the Resch Center, and then to not be able to. Like, I hope for kids like that, and for all kids across the state, that they get a chance to finish their season, no matter if that's in the fall or if that's in the spring.
Couldn't agree more. And, I think if you talk to most of the kids who are on the state, I'm with you. I think a lot of them are just like, hey, I'll play whenever, wherever against whoever, and I'll wear whatever you want me to wear, but get me back on the court and let me play.
Yeah.
You know, the whole state tournament. I mean, yeah, that's a big thing, but most of these kids, they just want to get back out and compete again and also be with their teammates. And to me and to these kids, that's the most important thing. And I think that's, you know, for you and I both, I mean, that's something that we try to keep in the forefront. And I think most of the kids are just happy just to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And I know it's going to be a little bit different for fans and spectators. But again, I think, you know, a lot of parents are like, I just want my kid to be able to do what they love to do and be with their friends.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I know the coaches are anxious to get back. I've been watching the Twitter feeds, and I mean, I've never seen so many countdowns and TikToks and everything else from these coaches. You know, and I almost think, you know, the way things have kind of went, I think, you know, if there had been in the past a tendency to maybe take some of this for granted, I think that's all gone now. I think we get a whole new appreciation for the game. The kids do, the coaches do. I hope the parents do as well. And you know, let's back off the whole, hey, my kid should be playing in the, you know, NCAA Division I. I mean, let's just enjoy where we're at right now and have fun with that, and just really enjoy every second of it.
And that's what we've been hearing all summer. I mean, kids are so thankful that they get a chance to play, and parents are thankful that, you know, their kids are able to do it no matter where it is or who it's with. And again, it really comes back to what they love to be able to do.
Well, with all that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's get into our fall season preview and talk about some of these conferences and the races that are going. Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin is our special guest today. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. You are watching the one, the only W7, and from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, we're live.
If you don't know W7, you don't know Germantown girls basketball. I'm Emily Wisner. And I'm Natalie McNeil. And W7 is for the girls.
W7, we are back, and welcome again to the 2020 Girls Volleyball preview show. And before we bring in our guest, Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin, I want to just talk about our homeschool a little bit and why it's great to be the homeschool. So first of all, Germantown is our homeschool for 2020-2021. And what that means is when we had our fundraiser this spring, when you make a donation, you get to tag your school, and the school that raises the most gets to be our homeschool for the next year, which means 25% of all of our live streams will involve the homeschool for the 2020-2021 season. And that was this year. It was Germantown, and great news, Germantown. There is really, truly a great benefit in being the homeschool, because this year, every Germantown girls volleyball match is on W7. Not 25%, not half, not 3/4, not almost all. Everyone except one. Let me take that back. There's one that we cannot do, and that is DSHA. But the rest of them, they're all on W7 this year. They're all live. They're all free. And they're all for our homeschool, so enjoy it. You guys are going to be stuck with us all season long. In-depth coverage of Germantown girls volleyball and Germantown girls athletics all season long on W7. If you like that for volleyball, you're going to love what we have for basketball coming up and softball. It's going to be all Germantown all year. Get ready for it. Germantown, you are the 2020-21 W7 homeschool. Enjoy it. We're going to take a break and come back with our special guest, Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin. You are watching W7 Live, the home for Germantown girls athletics.
We're getting mic'd up. Like, I got a hole in one. I'm gonna be on the news, and I'm gonna be famous, you guys.
What is it, DJ?
It's on the green.
First one is Gary Cam. The second one is
Going left.
right behind.
Oh, nice. I should be able to find it.
Oh, that's really hot.
My tummy's rumbling.
We can still get a hole in two.
Keep talking. Am I not talking enough? All right. It's good to see you.
Wait a second, that did not read it, but it was in meters, not in yards. Sit. Sit.
Okay. Getting called out.
Sit down. Sit down. All right. All right. Hole in 3 it is, I guess.
You got this, Kiki. Nice and strong.
All right. Yeah, we got this. Easy dubs.
Is that me all the way over there? Did it roll?
Dude, look how big these leaves are.
Good shot.
Thanks.
Great shot.
Thank you.
Fantastic shot.
Ooh. Curve.
Good speed.
Oh, okay.
Pure goal.
There we go.
Lauren's mom was right next to us here. She agonized over that last putt. 20 feet for par, just a touch downhill. This green's not nearly as sloped as number 1 was, where we had our coverage earlier.
Can I finish that?
No. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can finish. Go, 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 go. Oh, thank you.
Nice putt.
Wasn't really trusting that, but.
Wax on, wax off, right?
Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed the break, and we are back to talk about Wisconsin girls fall volleyball. Our guest today, Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin. Chris, let's get right into it and talk. Let's start with what's near and dear to our hearts, the Greater Metro Conference, and one of the best conferences, maybe not arguably the best conference in the state in girls volleyball. Just your kind of overview on the conference and what we can expect this year.
I mean, it doesn't matter what the year is or who the favorite is. It's always going to be one of the best, like you said. But right away, the teams that jump out are going to be Sussex Hamilton and Brookfield Central. And as far as like teams that I would definitely keep on the radar is DSHA is going to be a program that you can never count out. And same with Germantown. They got a lot of balance all throughout their lineup, especially with some strong seniors and then even some really good sophomores that are coming in. Coach Wagner's done a good job with that.
Let's talk about Germantown a little bit, Chris, if we can. Germantown is our home school for this year, so I want to spend a little bit of time talking about them.
Okay.
Your thoughts on that team. Obviously, Tatum Catalano going to be a senior this year, and Lily Wagner. I think Lily Wagner is going to have a breakout year this year.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum's always been there, and she's always been, kind of the quietly effective one that's just always gotten it done for Germantown. Another player I really like out of the middle is Lauren Sitter, and she just committed to Mississippi State. So Lily Wagner is going to be a really fun player to watch, and she's kind of the next one coming up for Germantown. She'll be a sophomore, and she's a top 5 player in her class. She played a lot of beach volleyball this summer, and I think that's going to help her all-around game. Then they have a nice setter in Maddie Connor, who I think will do a nice job. And they're going to be right there. The thing about this is that there really is no night off when you're playing against these really tough teams.
That's right.
And it really comes down to execution. And in a 5-set match, you might be able to grab a set or two off some of these teams when you're playing them in a Saturday tournament, but it's going to be one of those where you're going to have to grind it out, and you might lose a set or two in order to win a three-set match. So it's going to be really interesting and really exciting to see how this all plays out.
Well, it's such a great conference, Chris, as you know, and to your point, there's no, George Sotiros from West Allis Hale says it best. I mean, there's no night off at the GMC, and that's in all sports. Our season opener is Wauwatosa West and Germantown, and Tosa West took Germantown to 5 sets last year. So, and they've got some nice pieces coming back. Nadia Wheeler going to be a senior on that team. You got some really nice pieces on that Tosa West team coming back. I mean, they could give Germantown all they want and more, and it's at Tosa this time and not Germantown.
Yeah, I saw Tosa West play this summer at the Sting Summer League, and a lot of these teams, it's all about like what do you see on the front of the jersey. And even though Tosa West hasn't been one of those traditional powers in the GMC, but they're definitely that type of team that can sneak up on somebody if they're not prepared for them.
I agree. Would you say there's anybody that's more of what I would call a sleeper team in the GMC than Tosa West? To me, they're the ultimate sleeper team in the conference. They could come in and knock off just about anybody, but a lot of times too, they get into some of these matches, and I look at how they play, and they continually shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, it's kind of all over the place with this team, but I think on their best night when they're playing the way they're capable of, I think they could beat anybody.
Another team that I really liked and who I saw this summer when they have all their players together, they're just gritty and athletic, and that's Menominee Falls. Stigler just digs everything in the back row, and they have a really fun outside hitter in Catherine Lockwood, who's going to be a sophomore. And they're not very big, but sometimes against some of those teams, you just have to play really good defense and have a few points go your way. And once you get that momentum on your side, it can be a scary thing.
Another team that's kind of making a little bit of noise is Brookfield East. I mean, they've necessarily been a power in the conference, but I mean, you got the McGath kid coming in. I think that they could also make some noise in this conference.
Yeah, between the two Brookfield schools, Scott Spies has been there at Brookfield Central for a long time, running a great program, and Brookfield East has always had tradition. I know they have a new coach coming in this fall,
yes.
But they have the size, they have the skill, and a lot of these players, they're so used to playing against each other, and they're so used to playing with each other sometimes during the club season that it kind of takes the wow factor out of playing against some of those top players, because they're used to playing them night in and night out, no matter if it's a summer league, high school, or club season.
We could sit here and talk all day about McKenna Wooker and about, Tatum Kebasek and about Morgan Doherty and about, all of these, stars of the conference, so to speak. Give me a couple under the radar kids, 21, 22, that, maybe don't get the press that these kids get, but, could definitely help, D2, D3 type school in the area.
I mean, the first one that pops into my head is Katie Stigler. I mean, I know
yes.
She's just a very all-around athlete, but when I watch her play, like, she just makes it happen, and she's really exciting. Another one would be Julia, I think it's Wojak from DSHA. She's a middle blocker. And a lot of those DSHA kids, because I know they're high academic kids and they're strong volleyball players, and they would be very welcome at plenty of schools in Wisconsin and throughout the Midwest. And even from Brookfield Central, watching Juliana Schmidt play, she's a middle blocker, and I hadn't really watched her play a whole lot, and seeing her a few times this summer was exciting. And Sussex Hamilton, their next set after their senior class is going to be really strong, and practices have to be extremely competitive there, because they probably are close to double-digit seniors, and I know they have juniors and sophomores ready to step in as well. So,
boys, Tracy building something over at Sussex Hamilton, and she's doing a great job over there.
And when you get to the later rounds of the postseason, I think it's really important how strong is your gym, not your starters or your first 8 players, but what are they competing against in practice day in and day out? Because when you're having to compete every day in practice, that's really going to help you when it comes to crunch time at the end of the year.
And they all have brutal schedules, and you'll see some of those games or some of those matches when we get into our schedule reveal. We've got some really nice, not only conference matchups, but also non-conference matchups coming up. So these teams do a great job of stacking their schedule as difficult as they can. They want to play the best and get ready for the best. So I love that. Hey, last question on the GMC, then we'll take a break. Give me your 1, 2, 3 in the GMC to close out the season this year. What do you have them as 1, 2, 3?
I'm going to go with Sussex Hamilton, Brookfield Central, and I'm going to go Germantown. But I will say, I think whoever wins this will have one loss. I don't expect the conference to go undefeated, and I just think that speaks to the depth. You might have a Sussex Hamilton beat a Brookfield Central, but then you might have a DSHA come around and beat Sussex Hamilton. So it's going to be tight, but I really like what I saw from Sussex Hamilton with their senior leadership and the depth that they have. And I think they're going to be really tough to beat. But then again, we can talk about this later, but with the different schools going into fall or spring, will that change how the sectionals are drawn out, right, if we're able to have a state tournament?
The repercussions go on. It's the ripple effect. So Sussex Hamilton, you got a lot to live up to. Super Freak and Mo, you guys have been put on the challenge here, and also Little Wags over at Germantown and Tatum. Prove us wrong. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be back. This has been the GMC coverage of girls volleyball. We're going to come back and talk Woodland Conference on W7, and we're live.
The person that you were created to be, designed to be who you were designed to be. When you become an individual, what you do is you take yourself and you start separating yourself from other people. I challenge you to get to a place where people don't like you, it don't even bother you no more. Why? Because you're not concerned with trying to make them happy, because you're trying to blow up. You're trying to get to the next level. I need you to invest in your mind. Invest in your mind. If you still talk about your dream, if you still talk about your goal, but you have not done anything, just take the first step.
That you can make your parents proud, you can make your school proud, you can touch millions of people's lives, and the world will never be the same again because you came this way. Don't let nobody steal your dream. After we face a rejection and a no, nobody believes in you, you've lost again and again and again, the lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and saying to yourself, it's not over until I win. You can live your dream.
Welcome back. Time to talk Woodland Conference. We're with Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin. And Chris, you know, there's obviously 16 teams in the conference, but, you know, when you really net it out, I mean, there's two powerhouses in this conference, and that's Pewaukee and Wisconsin Lutheran. You know, let's talk Pewaukee first. Give me your read on the Woodland West favorites, the Pewaukee Pirates.
Well, they have a really strong senior class, just like Sussex Hamilton does. You know, Jordan Berglund is somebody who is just an electric athlete. She is so fun to watch. I mean, she can dunk a tennis ball pretty easily. You know, another player that they have is Elsa Shepard out of the middle. And then their setter, I want to say Bolter Eberhardt. But like they are so deep. They probably have 10 seniors. Tommy Jonas is a new coach there for them, so I know he'll do a nice job.
He brings a lot of energy over there, doesn't he? He's Mr. Energy. I love that about him. He is so positive and so pumped up.
He's been at Waukesha West, and I think they have a really versatile lineup. But again, like they have that depth that's really gonna help them all throughout the season because they're gonna have competitive practices every single day. You know, both sides of the net are going to be heavily engaged. And so when you have the ball control that they do, they have the setting that they do. You know, Katie Gund is another really strong setter for them. So they always have multiple options at every position.
I was so impressed with Maya Momcilovic last year in the match that we did. I mean, she took over that match against Franklin when we were over there. So I mean, she's a difference maker.
She was definitely somebody I had as a sleeper to make sure that you watch this year, and I'm glad you said her last name because I wasn't 100% sure.
I had to ask her twice and ask her mom once to make sure I got it right. And you know what? Odds are I probably still missed on it, but I'm a lot closer than I was last year.
Yeah, no, I saw her play a few times this summer, and she definitely is, you know, kind of that silent assassin where she's able to do a lot of really good things, but she does it very quietly. You know, where a Jordan Berglund is just fiery and, you know, just lets it all out there, where you know, Maya's just very much more of a composed, under control, and I think those two really balance each other out on the outside.
I love Jordan. You never have to worry about knowing, you know, how she feels about something. I mean, you're gonna know. She'll let you know right away. And she's going to it's a place in Florida, I believe, for volleyball next year.
She's going to Flagler, which is
that's right.
I want to say St. Augustine, Florida, but I mean, her campus is right on the beach, and so it's a Division II school. There's a girl from Westosha Central who's had really good success there, and then she'll be able to play on the beach, you know, in the spring.
What's the over/under on number of trips Troy makes to St. Augustine in 21-22?
Oh, I mean, I would think at least monthly.
I would say so. Well, let's flip sides and talk about the other side, the Woodland Conference East. And I would say quietly, but maybe not quietly, Wisconsin Lutheran is really developing a nice little program, and they've got some really nice pieces to make a run in the Woodland East this year.
Yeah, they are super scrappy. I got to see them play actually quite a bit this summer between our events, and they played at a camp at Wisconsin Lutheran College. Natalie Tesh is probably one of my favorite players I've watched throughout her career. She's played it. She's left-handed. She's played out of the middle. She's played on the right side. They have her doing some setting, and she just celebrates with such pure emotion, and she just gets everybody fired up. And just one of those players you need to have on your team. And then on the outside, one player who's really coming on strong is Grace Schneider, which she will be a junior. She got some time last year and played in the state tournament.
I was really impressed with her last year when we covered their game against Pius.
Yeah, and just being able to watch her more this summer. I mean, they lost Julia Clement, who was just a stud on the outside, and it's hard to replace somebody like her. But I think the combination of hitters that they have, and with Grace Schneider being somebody who can take on a bulk of those swings, I think they're still going to be a really strong team. They're definitely going to be in the conversation to head back to the Resch. And again, that's another loaded section down there with KML and CMH and Wisco. So but as far as the Woodland Conference, it'll be fun to see them play Pewaukee because Wisco is not afraid of anybody. Dave does a great job of coaching them, and that's going to be a fun match whenever it comes down to that.
One of the things that I'm really excited about in the Woodland this year, Carolyn Langer's taking over at New Berlin West, and we talked about Scott Spiess earlier and the program he's built at Brook Central. Well, Carolyn was I believe, the freshman coach there the last 2 years, and now taking over as the head coach at New Berlin West. It's one of, maybe not this year, but probably sooner rather than later. I mean, they've got a lot of great athletes over there, as you know, and West is going to be a team to deal with down the road.
Yeah, they got some size. They had a lot of really good players last year who were freshmen and sophomores, and a couple players like Ella Kern and Megan Schultz. Megan Schultz is a 6'3" middle blocker where she can attack from anywhere in the front row, but she also puts up a really big block, and so she's definitely one too. Yeah, so I mean, she definitely has the ability to take over. So that'll be fun to see her. I just think there's such a difference between freshman and sophomore year, because their sophomore year they kind of get it. The whole newness is done, and just the extra year of maturity really helps out.
Can we agree, and this probably won't be the most popular statement in the world, but can we agree Woodland West is probably Pewaukee, Woodland East is Wisconsin Lutheran as your predictions for this season?
Yeah, and what will be kind of interesting is that so some of these teams, they go and play in tournaments every weekend and they have to play each other a lot. But since a lot of these multi-team events are not happening this year, the only time they might play is within their conference. So it's not like they'll get a little warm-up match against them in a tournament or a scrimmage or anything like that. So that makes that conference matchup that much bigger.
Well, it also, I think, kind of tips the scales a little bit. I mean, it's one of those where I think anybody could come in and surprise somebody. I think the scales kind of balance a little more this year maybe than past years. Hey, we're going to take a break. That's the Woodland Conference. We're going to come back, talk North Shore Conference. We're going to go up north, talk the North Shore. Hang on, you're watching W7.
She's a talker. She'll talk your ear off, but she's also one of the nicest kids all summer. Always a kind word for everybody. Doesn't matter if she's playing good or bad. A golfer is supposed to put a marking on their golf ball. A lot of kids will put a dot here, a blue dot here, a red dot there. Eleanor's marking of her golf ball. She draws a smiley face on it.
It's like right there.
Oh, there she is.
I had a chance for a birdie putt on the last par 3 I had. I didn't make it, but I made par, which is cool. So this one I gotta make birdie.
Eleanor, when you get up there,
so
I think you can make
this
it.
is, ooh, I like that a lot. So yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Oh, I play for Homestead.
Now that's how you play golf when you're mic'd up.
Yes.
I'm
Just gonna tap it.
yeah.
She's just gonna tap it in.
Let's go.
Did you think it was in the cup? I mean, it was pretty close.
I mean, I thought it might have been, but then when I was coming up, I was like, oh, it's just like right there. But it was a lot closer when I got on the green than what I expected.
Did it help with having the microphone and the camera on you? Did you feel like that gave you some extra motivation?
Honestly, yeah. So I grew up competitively dancing, Irish dancing. So like having people watch and have that little extra pressure, always.
We're gonna ask for an Irish dancer in a second.
We're focusing on right here, right now, and they're trying to be the best that they can be for the team and the community and their school.
You are watching W7 Live.
All right, right here, right now.
It's goosebump time. Here we go.
Right here, right now, 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 right here, right now.
Riley Wykes. You can never take for granted what a great setter Elise Drifka is. Hannah Schaefer! Clutch! Elise Drifka! The crafty senior does it again. It's going now. It's on. Oh, great job by Gillen. Aaron Gillen saved that play right there. 24-21, Slinger, Schaefer, Hannah Schaefer, and that's your match. The Owls win it in 3.
So when you go to school tomorrow, your heads are high, your shoulders are back.
We can't think of the next game or the next game. We're always playing right here, right now.
But dang it, you're Slinger volleyball.
Hey, welcome back. Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin, our special guest today, going through conferences and talking about kids and volleyball and what a great time it is to be back, and we're excited for volleyball to get started again. Our opener is September 15th. We've got a doubleheader. We'll talk about our whole schedule coming up, so stay tuned. You won't want to miss that. But now let's shift gears and talk North Shore Conference. And, you know, it's a really good conference, Chris. I always start with Slinger and Hartford. Maybe that's just me, but you know, that's to me that there's no better rivalry, and you got two really strong teams in the conference right away.
Yeah, I saw both those teams play this summer, and I was impressed by both. But Hartford just has so many really, really good players and height and senior leadership. Not that Slinger's going to, it's not that.
Slinger's going to miss Elise Drifka. I mean, they're gonna miss her this year, and Gillen also, the older Gillen kid. I mean, they lost some really big players on that team from last year. So, but great kids coming back. Elise Gillen is really going to have a great year this year, I believe.
Yep. Oh yeah. I remember I saw her play this winter, and I didn't really know who she was, and I saw her. I'm like, who is that? And then I kept seeing her again. She kept on impressing, and so anytime you have a setter who knows how to run the show and can just like have that presence on the court. I think she does a great job with that, and so it'll be exciting to see what she can do to rally her teammates around her. And then with Hartford, you know, you have Abby Hoffman who can set, she can hit, she can do a little bit of everything. You got Martina McGrath, which it's hard to believe these athletes at Hartford, they're now seniors.
Right.
Because I feel like I've kind of watched them grow up through building this program. They've done such a great job each year getting that much better. And I think this year will be one to definitely keep them on the radar and see what they can do within their section. Riley Hamilton's really strong on the outside, and so she can really change a game. And I think it's going to be
Riley
really
Hamilton's been there like 8 years. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, I think so.
I heard she's just a junior this year. It feels like she's been there forever.
Yeah, you know, between her and her sister, I believe. I mean, there's been a lot of kills when they say, you know, Hamilton for the kill. So right. They got 2 more years to look forward to with that.
What impact, if any, do you think Hartford gets from you know, Taylor Klinsing not coming back this year to coach? Obviously, she got another opportunity in the Middleton area, not the coaching, but with teaching and school as well. But what kind of impact does that have on this team, do you think, you know, in the 2020 season?
I mean, she's built such a great program, and she really did everything as far as the mental training with the athletes to the, you know, promoting them on social media to outreach in the community. And you know, I think the coach that they have coming in is familiar with that, and I know her name is Shannon, but
Shannon. I was gonna say, is it Watts? I think I know it's Shannon.
But she's been a successful player. She played at St. Cloud State, and so I think there's, you know, Taylor is leaving her program in very good hands, and I think it'll be exciting that, you know, especially for, you know, those players, they know what it takes. They know they've kind of had that expectation set, and they know what the standard is for Hartford volleyball. And, you know, I think that it'll make the transition that much easier when you have a really strong senior class that can contribute like this one will.
Well, it's going to be interesting. You know, we talk about Slinger Hartford, and, you know, Cedarburg also always a presence in the North Shore. But you've got a very interesting sleeper team we want to talk about. Tell me who that team is, Chris.
Yeah, Whitefish Bay. I'm kind of sold on them. They have the Barrett sisters. So there's Lily Barrett and Zoe Barrett, which Lily will, well, they both set, but Lily will be a senior. She's their setter. And then last year as a freshman, Zoe, she was one of the top outside hitters in the conference. And between those two, I mean, they can make a lot of positive things happen. And last year they were 24-11. I just looked at their record, and I think they have the ability to really sneak up on some teams. You know, it's not like you see Whitefish Bay up there with the Hartfords and the West Bend team, West Bend West, like they have been. So I definitely think this is a chance for them to make that push to compete for a conference championship.
So give me your 1, 2, 3 in the North Shore, and then we'll break and come back and talk Classic 8.
So I'm gonna go with Hartford as number 1, Whitefish Bay, and then as my third, I'm gonna go Nicolet.
Nicolet. So let's talk about Nicolet a little bit.
So they've always had some really good athletes. They've always kind of been right there, and I just feel like with the combination of some of the youth they had last year, and giving them another year, that it's going to be between them and Cedarburg. And Cedarburg with Aspen Jankowski, like, she can do a lot of different things for them, and I know that they're under a new coach as well. And so I think it's going to be a really exciting year because it's so wide open. I think Hartford is definitely your favorite, but you know, just like with any of these, any game, any night, any chance. So especially with how hungry these teams are, and, you know, they want to take advantage of everything they can. And it's going to be really exciting to see how that stacks up, and if there's any interesting upsets that will throw off those top 3 or 4 teams.
That's the North Shore Conference preview. We're going to take a break and come back and talk Classic 8, and then one more break, and we'll wrap it up with Best of the Rest, and we'll be right back. You are watching the 2020 Girls Volleyball Season Preview on W7 Live. Welcome back to the 2020 Girls Volleyball Season Preview. Gary Whipperman, W7, our special guest, Chris Fitzgerald from Prep Dig, Wisconsin, taking time out to join us and talk girls volleyball in the area. It's time to talk Classic 8, and can you have a Classic 8 conversation without Economwalk and Kettle Moraine? I mean, those are that's the class of the conference for sure, and of course Arrowhead's right in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, draw a name out of the hat, and there's a good chance that they're going to compete for a conference championship. And if you're competing for a conference championship in the Classic 8, you're going to compete for a state championship. So, obviously, Arrowhead is the defending state champions, but when they lost a lot to graduation, as did Oconomowoc. But a lot of these teams, they just the next person in, that next athlete is ready to step in and have their starting spot and get a chance. But as far as the true favorites this year, I would have to go with Waukesha West. I mean, they have such a strong senior class with Alexis Bowling, who's going to North Dakota State, and Anna Holland, who's going to Seton Hall. And then there's also Abby Frigine, who's just a really solid player all the way around. But yeah, I mean,
Chris, what does it say about volleyball in this conference when the two teams that played for the state title last year you have as like number two, because there's another team coming up that you think is going to win the conference? I mean, this conference is just stacked.
Oh yeah, and even you look at an Oconomowoc who lost 4 Division I players. They're still going to be one of the top teams in the state, and they're still going to compete for a state championship because they have
Malia House
players.
Have a great year this year.
I mean, those athletes, even the ones that were on the bench and playing JV, they played against the state runner-up in practice every single day, and they have a couple freshmen that are going to definitely make an impact this year as well.
Kettle Moraine, a great year last year, winning sectionals and getting a chance to go in state. What do they look like for 2020 as well?
I think they're going to be really exciting. They're going to miss Haley Grakalski in the middle. She did so much for them. I got a chance to watch them play this summer, and on the outside they have Grace Grakalski and Sophie McCormick.
Grace is pretty good.
And Robbie Benagi, but she's had a great summer. She's made so much progress, and their libero Kylie Kuglin, she does a great job, just so steady. And then their setter Rebecca Siedenberg. So all those athletes have a lot of experience, and I really like the vibe they have on the court. They just seem very chill, very under control, and I think that is going to pay off for them, especially knowing that they went to the state tournament. It's not like that is that unthinkable accomplishment that they can have. I think that takes the pressure off them a little bit, and they know that they can beat really good teams. They know that they can compete with anybody.
Well, it's an interesting program because, and a lot of programs are this way, but KM really stands out to me because if you look at like Grakowski, I mean, her older sister played for the team, went to state. You look at Siedenberg, her older sister played. I mean, the younger kids, I mean, they've been playing with them, but I mean, it's been in the family for a while. So the expectations will be high, but these kids' expectations of themselves will be really high as well. I mean, I think you got to put KM right in the mix there in the conference this year. New faces in the Classic 8 this year that we may want to keep an eye on. Anybody jump out at you for new faces in the Classic 8?
Well, Oconomowoc has 2 incoming freshmen that I think are going to be extremely high-level players, and that's a setter and Lily. There's gonna be another Lily Wagner. This one has 2 L's.
Watch out, little Wags.
She is a fun player to watch, and then they have a middle blocker, Anna Bjork, who's going to be a really strong physical athlete, and so Oconomowoc is just going to keep on reloading. As far as going through, I think it's going to be more so players just stepping up into a bigger role. Last year for Arrowhead, Maddie Tolzman, was a key player. She started on the outside, but now with Aubrey Hamilton at Notre Dame, she's going to be relied very heavily upon to score a lot of points. She's going to get a lot more swings, and but she's ready for it. I mean, she was having a great club season, and she's a great athlete, a great player, and so I'm excited to see what these maybe role players were last year and what they do when they have to be kind of the go-to player when things get tight, and that's going to be exciting for a lot of them. But as far as like the ones even at Waukesha West, they have some freshmen coming in and just some newer players that you haven't heard of before that are going to have a bigger impact.
Well, your sleeper team has one of my all-time favorite coaches on it. Talk about who your sleeper team is this year in the Classic 8.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for Waukesha North. So with that, we have Abby Serdinsky. She's going to be going to Viterbo in lacrosse, which Martina McGrath is going to be going to Viterbo as well in lacrosse. And they're one of the top NAI programs. And they played in one of our events that I thought that, they've made a lot of progress in the past couple of years and very competitive, great energy, very scrappy. They do a really nice job all the way around. Another team that I think is going to be kind of sneaky good is McGuanago. So I know they graduated Aaron Powers and Nicole Pazorski, but they have some youth coming up that are really strong, and they always have a strong program. It's kind of hard to leave them out, but yeah, Waukesha North and McGuanago, and even don't leave out Muskego either.
It's a stacked conference, and we also got to say hi to Alyssa Nims at CMH and our friends at CMH as well. Again, I mean, we could talk all day about the Classic 8. We're going to take a break and come back. So even though there's a new Lily Wagner coming in, there's only one Little Wags, and she's in Germantown. We're going to take a break and come back, do best of the rest, and wrap up. You're watching W7 Live. W7, we are back. The 2020 girls volleyball season preview coming to a close here. Let's talk about kind of best of the rest, Chris. Starting with some teams up in a little pocket that we've become quite familiar with, and starting with Oostburg and Mishicot, Howard's Grove, the whole Big East Conference. Let's talk your take first of all on Howard's Grove. What do you see in there this year from them?
They returned almost everybody from their state championship team last year. And they have now 3 Division I players that are going to be on their side of the court. So one, I guess, newsworthy or noteworthy headline would be Josie Hoblieb, who's played at Sun Prairie and set for Sun Prairie the past 2 years. She's going to head and play volleyball at Kansas State. She's going to be playing for Howard's Grove this fall. So Sun Prairie is one of those schools that we're not able to have a fall season, and I believe Josie's going to be graduating at the end of the semester, then going early to Kansas State. So they actually moved to Howard's Grove, and she'll be playing there. So not a bad move in to have on your team when you can have a setter and a lefty right side. So, but with that being said, you still have to find a dynamic for everybody and see how that works out. But with how Howard's Grove plays their defense, I mean, they're probably the top defensive team in the state. I mean, they're so hard to score points on. The ball just does not hit the floor. So, they're not only the top in Division III, which along with Waterloo, who also has Brooke Mosier, who's heading to Illinois, and a lot of other really high caliber players, but they would definitely be in the conversation for not only the best team in D3, but the best team overall through all classes.
Well, we're going to get Josie a copy of Country Roads by John Denver so she can get ready for that, going over to Howard's Grove. They play that after they win every game. So she better get up to speed on that if she's moving over to HG. And then Mishicot and Oostburg, also teams in that Big East. Again, Mishicot, of course, a powerhouse in basketball, girls basketball in that conference. Callie Krieger on that team, Abby Garceau on that team. I mean, again, you got to say any given night. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's been quite a nice little rivalry between Howard's Grove and Mishicot and Oostburg in there as well. So I got to believe that's going to be fun watching those 3 teams kind of go at it this year in the conference.
Yeah, and that's a big conference too. I mean, they have a lot of teams in that conference. And I know one thing that's exciting for that conference is that they're going to try and play their conference tournament at the Champion Center in Appleton, so that way they can get everybody in one gym. Which is definitely something that for some of these smaller schools to be able to host, 10 teams or 16 teams or even 8 teams, different schools are having different limitations on how many teams can come from different areas. So the fact that they'll be able to play a conference tournament under one roof is pretty exciting.
A couple other D2 teams I want to just touch on briefly. Kettle Moraine Lutheran, of course. Elle Truckerbro coming back for her senior year, and they should have a nice little team at KML this year.
Yeah, she's another one of those players you've kind of watched grow up through volleyball, and she really came on strong when they were second in the state a couple years ago, and she just has this presence on the court where she's such a leader, and she she definitely is contagious that way with how she handles herself. Just being that calming presence on the court, and but also like the competitor that she is. And they have a lot of players coming up too, like Stella Zarling, who's their other outside hitter. They have a sophomore who's going to be really strong, and Emily Hanzelka or Hanzelka, I think.
They're testing you, Chris, with these names.
Yeah, yeah. See, I'm so used to writing these names, and I hardly ever say them out loud, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. But yeah, KML will definitely be one to keep tabs on. And they always seem to have that sectional with 4 teams, with like the university school with Wisco and KML, and I think last year I want to say St. Thomas More was up there in either D2 or D3, and CMH, which CMH is still going to be really strong, and flip a coin when it comes to some of those teams.
Well, we had looked forward to having our first ever match with McFarland this year. The McFarland coaches have been in contact with me about us coming out and doing a match out there. We were definitely going to do that, but of course they got moved to the spring season. But don't fret, ladies. We're going to come out and see you in the spring and do a match out there for sure this spring. So you got them as your number 5 in D2. So them being out and Notre Dame being out, that really kind of impacts D2 and what's going to happen there this year.
Yeah, the Madison area is very strong with Division II teams. I know
Edgewood also, yep.
Edgewood is going to be playing, but they will have no home games. So they're the official Road Warriors.
They're the Road Warriors.
They are the Road Warriors. So
Quick,
I think
Quick Trip's got to pick them up on something for that. I mean,
so yeah. I think with some of the things that Dane County has in place, I'm not sure if they're allowed to have another team come into their gym. And they're like, we'll go play anywhere. Like, we just want to play. We want to have a fall season. They have a really special team this year with Ella Foti, who's one of the best players in her class. She's going to Marquette. And yeah, they're like, we'll play. We might not play at home, but we're going to play.
Well, Chris Wetler's the athletic director over there, does a great job. And believe me, if they could play a home game, if there was any way to do it, he'd have found a way and made it happen.
Yeah.
So we know that that's not possible if Chris can't make that happen. And then Lake Country Lutheran, they're a team kind of in my neck of the woods here. We're actually going to cover a LCL match for the first time this year. What's your read on Lake Country Lutheran this year?
Oh, that's such a good program, and they're so well coached by Coach Barr. And one player to watch is Adriana Studer, who's going to be a junior this year. She'll be their libero, and she's one of the top liberos in her class. Rachel Rossing is going to be a sophomore setter, and she's just a fun player to have on the court. And so you can never count them out either, because they play such good defense, and they're always well trained, well disciplined. They play the game the right way, and they will be ready. They will be prepared. And again, that little pocket of teams of, like the Lake Mills and the Lakeside.
Yeah,
Luther,
Lake Mills is another one. Yeah.
Luther Prep is another really fun team to watch. Like, they're all pretty close together. Same with Waterloo, and they can drive not too far and play a lot of really good volleyball. So I think all those teams will be fun to watch and see how they pan out.
Well, Lake Mills has got a very interesting little community in basketball and softball and volleyball. I mean, they're a small school, but a lot of those kids all play together and play multiple sports together, and they're good in all 3 sports. So, and they're still pretty darn young. Yet we looked at them last year for basketball. They didn't have any seniors on that team at all last year, so they're going to be good for a while.
Yeah, I was able to see them play a couple times this summer at our events, and in Milwaukee as well. And they got a great setter in Sydney Llewellyn, but overall, yeah, their athleticism of their team is really impressive. It's a lot of fun to see them just take the court, and they're not afraid to compete.
Well, last question for you, Chris, and we'll let you go finally. Give me who meets in the Rush Center for D1 and D2 in the finals in November? What do those 2 teams look like? Or is it October? No, November. Yeah, November.
Yeah, I think right now it's November.
Yeah.
And I think for Division I, again, I'm kind of putting a target on Sussex Hamilton's back, but
you are. Tracy's going to love you for this.
They've been so close, and they've been just right there with everybody else. And, Arrowhead did it last year and broke through, and they were able to, get a state title. And then I would love to see a Sussex Hamilton Pewaukee matchup. And those two are in a different section. However, those could all change. But again, in Pewaukee's section, you're going to have Waukesha West, and you're going to have, I believe Kettle Moraine might come out of that too. But again, with that, like, River Falls will probably be back down there. But then you don't have the likes of an Appleton North or a Kimberly, because those teams are moving to the Springs. So it's definitely going to be a battle of, I think it's going to be a GMC versus a Classic 8, and that would be such a fun matchup. And, throw a Woodland Conference champion in there as well.
That's a lot of fun. Then D2, what's your take on D2, and we'll wrap it up here.
D2, I didn't get to see Catherine Memorial play at all this summer, but I know they have the horses to take them there.
Yeah.
They also have a new player coming in. Her name is Lily Lutz, who played at Whitnall a couple years ago, and now she's going to be playing for CMH, and I think that's a big pickup for them at the center position. And then Luxembourg Casco, they were the state champion last year, and I just think they are a well-oiled machine. But at the same time, I would not want to play Edgewood like during a tournament, because they just have so much firepower. And then a major sleeper in D2 is going to be Sauk Prairie. I saw them.
Sauk Prairie, times. I like it.
Sauk Prairie. They're going to be a team to contend with. They have a bunch of athletes. They have a lot of balance, and Ada Shadowald, who's going to be a junior, she's going to be one of the top outside hitters in her class. A lot of fun. Little
Badger Conference infiltration. Yeah. I like that. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for your time and your expertise, and we'll check in with you throughout the year and talk some more, obviously, and we'll see each other as we cross paths across the state for some great volleyball. Again, it's a very compact season, but, it's going to be a really fun one. I'm really looking forward to it. I know you are as well.
You bet. Any volleyball is good volleyball right now, so we'll take it.
Chris Fitzgerald, Prep Dig, Wisconsin. Check him out. We put the website on the screen here. Subscription, I mean, it's peanuts, you guys. It's cheaper than even WisSportsNet, and you get great articles, great insight, weekly rankings, all this stuff. He eats, breathes, and drinks this stuff, you guys. There's nobody better in the state for girls volleyball. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
You bet. I'll be out there.
All right. Thanks so much. Hey, you've been watching the W7 2020 Girls Volleyball Season Preview Show. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've had a great time. Have a great and safe week this week in practice, girls. We'll look forward to seeing you next week, starting the 15th, September 15th. It's a doubleheader. It's Germantown and Wauwatosa West, live from Tosa West. And Mishicot, easy for me to say, Mishicot and Valders, live from Mishicot, 7:15, also on the 15th. So you can watch either or both at the same time. ProductionsW7.com/live. You've been watching W7, everything we do.